Good morning. It's Sunday morning. I wanted to come on. I had quite a busy night in my sleep last night. Had lots of dreams going on, lots of energy running through my body, and it's no wonder. There was a big shift going on, and you could see it. I could see it. When what happened in the White House with Zelensky when he went into the White House to talk to Trump about giving him some security for Ukraine in exchange for minerals. And Trump was unwilling to, seemingly unwilling to go that far. But anyway, so I don't know whether you saw any of the clips, were not fun to watch. And then I saw the whole video, and it was pretty normal up till about the 40-minute mark when J.D. Vance put his finger in it and said, we just want to be diplomatic or to have some diplomacy or something of that nature. And Zelensky said, well, what does that mean to you? Putin has 35 times or 25 times gone back on his agreement on ceasefires, hasn't done a prisoner exchange, even though he said he would. So what does diplomacy mean to you? And I thought, fair question, because for one, normally vice presidents don't weigh in this kind of thing. Normally what happens is they're behind closed doors, and they've done most of the negotiating, I would imagine, before that. It's all kind of done behind closed doors, and it's done with Zelensky's team and Trump's team, and they all just hash it out and figure it out. And it's not, and what you saw in the Oval Office there is normally behind closed doors with their teams hashing it out and walking off in a huff and then coming back and trying to come to some sort of conclusion. And then by the time they end up in the Oval Office, then it's already been decided. They've already decided what they're going to do. Well, did they already decide what they were going to do? Which was to create the event that happened in the Oval Office. Because it looks to me like that's exactly what they were after. Because it went sideways after that comment. Absolutely sideways. So, but what's very interesting to me, as this is where the shift has happened, is that I watched the whole 50 minutes through my eyes, and other people watched clips, and other people watched the 50 minutes through their eyes, and came to a totally different conclusion. For me, all I saw was bully energy, and not on Zelensky's part. I saw it on with Trump and Vance. It's just absolute bully energy. And Zelensky, at the beginning of the whole thing, was quite flattering and jovial and appreciative, all the things you would expect him to be in that position, until Vance put his finger in it. So it hurt my heart to watch it. It hurt many people's hearts to watch it. But then other people said, yay, Trump's the strong man. Good for you. We're glad you're in office. This is what we voted you in for. And that outlook is still prevalent. Because Trump is, I guess, an isolationist. Trump doesn't really care what happens over in Europe. Doesn't care. And he just wants what he wants, which is the minerals in Europe, in Ukraine rather. And so a lot of American people, not all of them I'm sure, really don't care what's going on in Europe. And then there are Canadians that are a little bit more aware, and I don't know whether it's because of our history of the World War II when Canadians went over there. And so we have grandmas and granddads and aunts and uncles and what have you that are, some of them still alive, that can remember their dad or granddad going off to war. So for us, it's a little bit different, I do believe. And we have a big Ukrainian base in Canada, which they don't have in the US. So to put it into perspective, Canada's population is about the same as California's population. So we're in a, our culture is definitely different than the US. We're similar in that we consume a lot of the same TV shows. But if you watch the Canadian TV shows that they're making now, they're definitely different than what comes out of the US, because Canada's got a unique culture, and it doesn't always seem that way. But watch some of the Canadian TV shows that are being made and some of the comedy. We're a little odd. We're a little different. so, so last night I dreamt. I just did not sleep well. And this morning I thought, well, I want to pull a few cards, because I do believe, and I've seen on my timeline, that people are disheartened. And those that have been in abusive relationships, or depending on how abusive those relationships were, or how abusive, they the ones that have been in really abusive relationships, this has really triggered them. So it's interesting to me to see the two different perspectives, or more than one actually. So you have those that aren't triggered by it at all, but have empathy and compassion. And then you have those that are triggered by it, who are struggling a little bit. And then those that think nothing happened. What happened was absolutely perfectly normal. And that would be the bully energy. And that's alive and well on the schoolyard. You can still see it. It's just the way it is. It shouldn't be, but parents try and teach their children not to be bullies, but it's how kids find their way, and often when they feel powerless is to be a bit of a bully. So let's pull a card on the bully energy, because it's alive and well out there, and it was on full display in the White House. Even to the fact that you had a press reporter asking Zelensky why he didn't have a suit on. Why, in the highest office in the land, was he not wearing a suit? And Zelensky said, when the war is over, then I will put on my costume. Turns out I heard that costume is kind of translated means suit in their language. I heard that. So he composed himself, and then he went off, and he's got support from the European countries. Meanwhile, everyone's reeling from what happened, and who's the ally? Who can we count on anymore? Canada's right next door to the big bully, and who can you count on anymore? So this is the world shifting, the world changing, all the alliances changing, and what is going to happen now? And we can help by trying to hold the highest vision of this is all going to be okay, and to combat the bully energy in our own life, and as we're walking through the world, and to be the kind of person we want to see out there. So being kind and gentle and friendly and open and inclusive when you're out and about going through your daily lives. So the chord that showed up was revive the dormant. So that's kind of, the dormant is the niceties of life. The Brits do it really well. The British do it really well. My husband was asking me about the Prime Minister Starmer. Why wasn't he more strong in his speech when he was talking to Trump? And I said, but that's not the Brits. The Brits are typically understated and polite. And it doesn't mean that they are folding. It just means that's who they are, and that's how they do diplomacy. So this card, revive the dormant, is to revive some of that, the niceties of life that we just used to be normal. There's nothing wrong with the niceties of life, right? And then the card underneath that is, can you see it? Have faith. So stairs going up to a doorway, and the doorway's open, and there's blue sky behind that. And so to have faith that it will all turn out. Things are escalating. The energies are escalating and the events are escalating. So things that would take years and years to unfold are now kind of ratcheting along pretty darn quick. And so I guess we can thank the energies that are supporting this, Trump that's coming like a wrecking ball, and I feel like it's all going to be over, and the dust will have settled by September, and it will be a time of building. But until then, it's going to be a bit of a rocky ride as time goes on, as it will, as the U.S. is they're letting go of so many federal employees, and everyone's like, well, the federal employees, and they don't really work, they don't deserve the money they're getting. But all those federal employees, despite what you think that perhaps they're overpaid and isn't that a nice cushy job? And it's a nice cushy job in terms that you can count on it being there, and there's really nothing wrong with that. Also, when they're let off, though, they're not spending money in the communities. So that's all the small businesses are affected, and the big businesses are affected. The banks will be affected because they can't, they won't be taking out loans, or they're having difficulty paying their loans or paying their mortgage. Landlords will be affected because perhaps at some point they won't be able to pay their rent. And it just trickles. That's the trickle down. If it's not. Thank you. That's the trickle down, not what they typically go, the rich, they get their tax cut and then that trickles down and everyone benefits. No, what's happening right now, that's the trickle down effect. So they're not out there. Those that have lost their jobs will not be spending money on anything but the essentials. And at some point they might have difficulty doing that. So, how did I get to that point? Just to show you, give you a point of view that often we forget about how everyone's impacted across the board, and that will go for Canada as well, as they're not buying from Canada. So we'll see what happens with that. So I'm going to pull one more card. I'm going to finish this off, and there it is. And it's begin to explore. So you see, she appears to be underwater, but her feet are on the ocean floor. She's looking around. She's noticing what's what, and so that's kind of where we are right now. We feel like we're kind of underwater, but we're not. It's all going to be okay. You just have faith in that everything will turn out the way that it's meant to turn out. And we have a part in that by playing our part, by again being the best that we can be the person that you want to see out there in the world. Be that person that you enjoy interacting with in the grocery store, at the coffee store. Be that person. Be that person that you admire for their ability to laugh. My husband's super good at that. He laughs very easily, and I admire that about him, even though it drives me crazy sometimes. But my son said the same thing. He admires that about his dad, his ability to laugh easily. It's a good trait to have. However, everyone's got something that's a gift to someone else. And so be that person, because that's how we will get through this. That's how we will get through all of this and ultimately change the world shift the world into a better position of inclusiveness, loving thy neighbor as thyself. That kind of brings to mind, what would Jesus do? Do that. Do that. Okay. Have yourself a wonderful Sunday. Hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we shall talk again. Bye.